Welcome to Connect MKE. Once again, I'm your guest host, Dan Shafer. I recently had the opportunity to have a public conversation with Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley at Anodyne Coffee in Milwaukee's Walkers Point neighborhood. We covered a variety of topics, including the county's intensifying fiscal issues, the county's relationship with Wisconsin state government, and how his office works to combat racial disparities and inequities at the county level.
I want to start big picture because there's something that you have mentioned in, I think, both of your State of the County addresses that talks about something that I think is a really, really big deal. I'm not sure if everyone in the community has responded to it as the big, enormous deal that it is, but you've talked a lot about the fiscal cliff that the county is facing in 2027, where we have a situation where without a long-term solution, we're facing cuts to parks, bus routes, public safety, all the important services that you oversee as the Milwaukee County Executive. So what's the state of that problem right now, and do you feel like the community has grasped the magnitude of what the county is facing with this budget dilemma?
Well, first and foremost, I want to say thank you for having me. It's always a great opportunity to sit down and talk, but particularly to talk about what is happening at Milwaukee County. And so I'm going to talk briefly about the history, like what have we done and what has been going on. So when you think about Milwaukee County, for the past 10 years, we have cut about $30 million across the board, right? Every year. So about $300 million have been cut at Milwaukee County. We found ways to streamline our government. We found different efficiencies. And we're doing everything that we can to make sure that the services and the programs that so many people who rely on Milwaukee County continue to receive those services. And so right now we're facing a fiscal cliff. And so in about 5 years, Milwaukee County will not have any local dollars to actually invest in any of our local priorities. And those local priorities will be also deemed as non-mandated programs, right? So when you think about non-mandated programs, we're talking about our parks. We're talking about the Milwaukee County transit system. We're talking about services that directly impact the quality of life for many individuals. But what is going up is our state-mandated costs. So there's a state law that says that we cannot increase our property taxes over 1%, right? Or based off of net new construction. There is some construction going on, but even when you think about the cost of that, it's just a little over 1%. But the issue at the end of the day is that our costs are rising about 2% every year. And so that's what creates the structural deficit for Milwaukee County. So in 5 years, we won't have any local dollars, to support those local priorities. So it puts many projects and services on the chopping block. And so that's one of the reasons why we continue to talk about particularly the local option sales tax. And if I had my way, what we would do is we would ask for a 1% increase on our sales taxes. So there's currently a 5.5% sales tax that is out there. What people don't know is that 5% of that sales tax goes directly to the state of Wisconsin. It doesn't even stay here locally. The only thing we get to keep here locally is about 5.5% of that sales tax. So case in point, you think about the Milwaukee Bucks run. We generated huge economic activity, right? About $30 million.
I'm familiar with that Bucks run.
Oh, yes. I think all of us is waiting for it to come back. We're hoping the Brewers can make a playoff run. But when you think about that about $30 million of economic development, and you factor about 0.5%, well, that's less than $400,000. That's not even enough to pay for one Milwaukee County Transit System bus, right? And so it puts everything in perspective for us. And so, if we had that 1% sales tax, we would use that 1% to actually invest in our local priorities. But the structural deficit also deals with our pension obligations. So we collect about $300 million every year when it comes down to property tax levy. Well, about $100 million of that goes directly into the pensions. And a lot of this is because we are pretty much playing catch up because we were not funding the pension as we should have. And so what we would like to do or see is seeing almost like a soft freeze. We want to make sure that everyone who has worked at Milwaukee County and has retired and then currently is in that system continues to get the pension that they deserve once they retire. And hopefully we can do that soft freeze and then move all new hires moving forward into the WRS system, which is much better than the Milwaukee County pension system. But this is really about so we can make the investments in the quality of life. When we talk about transit, when we talk about our parks, when we talk about services for seniors, for our young people, this is what we want to be able to do. And when you ask the question, how are people taking it? How are they receiving it? I think people are now waking up to the fact that we really don't have any money, and not just as Milwaukee County, but even within the city of Milwaukee, who is also facing their own financial challenges. And I would say at this point, I am optimistic as far as where we are because many people in this community, eyes and ears are wide open to what's been happening over the past few decades.
Yeah, this local sales tax, I think, really started to come to the forefront about 3 years ago when Chris Abley and the Milwaukee County Board kind of dropped some of their disagreements and started coming forward and saying, hey, we need the fair deal.
Yeah. And this also reduces property taxes for everyone across Milwaukee County, which could possibly be the largest decrease in property taxes that we have ever seen in local government.
And so I think the difficulty, obviously, is how to get this done because it requires working with the state government. Milwaukee County cannot do this local sales tax on its own. It needs to have a partner in the state government to give the city permission. You know, not all cities are like this, but that's how things are set up in Milwaukee. And I think there's been a lot of talk lately about a reset with state leaders and with yourself and with Mayor Cavalier Johnson. I know there was a very publicized kind of reset meeting that you all had not too long ago. So how is that reset going, for one, and how do we get this done? Is this going to get done, this local sales tax? Great
question. So, you know, I was a former state representative. So when I thought I was leaving Madison, I thought I was leaving Madison. But I will tell you that it was a great thing to be there for 7 years. So for 4 years, I was a staffer for the 6th Senate District, State Senator Nakia Dodd when she was serving. And then I served for 3.5 years as a state representative of the 17th Assembly District, which gave me the opportunity to actually build solid relationships, not just with staffers, but with elected officials on both sides of the aisle. And so I would say that since becoming Milwaukee County executive, the relationship has definitely changed. You know, when you're playing partisan politics, that's exactly what it is. It's partisan politics. But we have been letting them know what is going on. So at the end of the day, Milwaukee County, we are an extension of the state. And we've had to go there and say, you know, if you don't give us the tools, because we're not asking for any money from the state, we're asking for tools that will give us the ability to raise our own revenue and keep that revenue here. And what's key about this is because it won't have any statewide budget implications to the rest of the state. But if you don't give me the tools now, the state of Wisconsin is going to face a major fiscal challenge because we are, again, an extension. And so when we started building those relationships, showing them some of the things that we have done within Milwaukee County, the mayor showing what they've been doing within the city of Milwaukee, they've become much more open to the idea. Now, I will say that no one has said, yes, we're going to do this for you, but no one has said no or closed the door on our faces yet, right? And I think that is the type of progress that we haven't seen for this particular region. And the key about this is that helping out Milwaukee, the city of Milwaukee and Milwaukee County is not just about our geographical area. We are leaders in southeastern Wisconsin. We are a contributor of being the economic state of the economic engine of this state. And so as we talk about how we want to be able to attract more residents, attract more businesses, invest in you know, do some capital investments, they understand that right now we don't have much to actually invest. And so it's been you know, I would say relentlessly optimistic as far as being able to see some of the Republicans in the legislature come in and really open their eyes and ears to what is happening in Milwaukee. And many of them believe that you know, they can't survive. The state wouldn't be able to survive without the city and the county. And so I'm really excited as far as where we have been able to move the ball. We are not necessarily at the goal line quite yet, but we're getting there. It's been a first down. We're doing better than the Packers.
But would you say it's Is it a different dynamic than it was before? You know, have you added a new element or something like that?
I mean, I would say
Added
so.
a running game.
I mean,
I don't know.
I would say so. You know, I mean, this is when you look at what has happened to Milwaukee County and the city of Milwaukee over, you know, just recently in the past 2 years. I mean, we're seeing new leadership, you know, pop up. You know, myself being elected county executive, May of 2020, in the middle of the pandemic. You have Cavalier Johnson, the mayor, who just won, you know, a few months ago and has been leading the charge. And so the same issues that people had with Milwaukee, you know, you can't continue to perpetuate a narrative when there's new leadership looking to really put an olive branch out there and say, let's work together. And when you think about all the things, all the challenges that we're facing, not just as a community right here, but even across the state, we have to be partners. We have to collaborate to figure out how we can move not only this community forward, but the state forward as well.